Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. Today I'm here with Fran Bailey, and she is an energy consultant, but does a lot more than that. And so I'm excited because sometimes we just feel down, or we feel like we're just barely treading water and we just don't know what to do, or you put your happy face on, but inside you're just crying. And she is going to be on and she's going to talk to us about the importance of energy and healing and so many other things. So Fran, without further ado, would you mind introducing yourself to us?
Yes, thank you so much, Sharice. I've been doing energy work for quite a while. My first career was a dancer in modern dance, and I grew up in a metaphysical home. And that means thinking about positive stuff all the time, and that mind over matter, and that you can heal yourself through the mind. So I kind of pulled all those things together. My background of being in a metaphysical home, my mom danced, my dad sang. I was very happy. We all had our stuff, but I became a dancer, fell in love with dance at the age of 6, and then went on to get my degree, choreographed, but love the idea of moving my body, that energy. And I could feel the energy around me all the time. And even as a kid, I was very, very aware of nature, connection with God at a very young age. So art was really good for me because I could express myself through the body and just move and not have to talk about it, because I was seeing a lot of things even as a child. So then I was teaching at a Montessori school in Cincinnati, these kids, and the parents came to watch the class. And one of the parents was a doctor, an alternative doctor out of South Africa, and said, "Franny, you can see energy." And I said, "Okay. What's that?" So I studied with a woman named Rosalind Briere out of California, who is incredible medical intuitive, and I learned her system, gathered that information, was an energy healer for 12 years, had a near-death experience at age 12 that sort of changed my spiritual awakening. Then I started continuing my work privately into my house and got cancer in my 40s. After my dad died of cancer, I got cancer. So the emotional component in response to the body will respond. So I had stage 4 cervical cancer, and they wanted to take everything out. And I said, "No, you're not." And decided that I was going to work with a doctor, but I wasn't going to do heavy duty drugs. And she checked me every 3 months, and every night I did energy work on myself, basically killing the cancer cells in that area. Because I believe that in the end I was whole and I was okay. This is just an interruption, and I was clear for 5 years, and it all went away. And that's kind of what was the impetus of the method. The Shiva method, which is trying to teach people how to heal themselves and believe in their own abilities, and understand that if you change your thought, change your energy, you can create a new way of expressing yourself through understanding there is something else out there to help you, assist you. So that's why the Shiva method began in 2002. And that means seeking harmony in energy, voice, and action, which is the acronym that they gave me, channeled to me in that room over there. And I said, "Okay, I'll figure this out." And it's taking me this long to figure out what to do with it. So it's a very simple technique, has to do with the body work, deep meditation, the chakra system, Enneagram, which is a study of the personality, and then soul connection. So it's all those things in one. Wow. And it's very, very simple, easy to do. And So that's kind of the story.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is, and for my listeners, if you're looking, I'm in the dark right now because our power's out till this afternoon. Bad storm yesterday. So if I'm dark, that's why. But what I love, and maybe it's a metaphor, I guess, living in the dark, because a lot of times we live in the dark. And I remember attending this conference where this guy, he talked about breath work, he talked about different things, and how with your cells, because our cells shed and turn over every so many time. um,
Um, no, all I know is that information comes through the chakra system every hour and a half.
okay.
So you're constantly moving this, whatever is out there through your body.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I want to get to the chakras in just a sec because that's something else I think is important to talk about. But my point is, because it regenerates, our cells are constantly, our skin sheds, our cells shed, and some die and others, they grow again. And so if you can regenerate healthy cells versus the unhealthy cells, I have heard so many stories like yours that through energy work, they have been cured from horrible cancers that should have taken their life. And for some people, you've lost a loved one to cancer, or you are experiencing that yourself. It's different for everybody. So please don't yell your phone, because it does vary. And I do believe there's a divine power as well. And if it's your time, it's your time. And so there's a
Right.
reason for everything, things happen. But if you're able to heal yourself like you did, it's worth trying, and it's worth talking about for those people. Other people, they do need medicine. Like, I'm going to the doctor today. I have a massive ear infection. And so um there is a time and a place for doctors. I go to them frequently,
Oh,
but
yeah, absolutely.
that there's also alternative medicine. I mean, for me, I swear by the alternative in terms of, I used to deal with massive migraines every single day, debilitating, where I'm like in a corner just crying because it's so painful. And because I worked at a massage school where I was the director, they needed lots of bodies to practice on. And so
Mhm.
I would have a massage 1 or 2 times a week, and the migraines went away. I had never felt healthier. I had never been happier than when I was working at that massage school because of the energy work. And so it's amazing stuff. And that's why I was so happy to have you on. Um,
Oh, thank you.
and I think what you do is so powerful. And I wish the insurance companies would have more to do with
Mhm.
the alternative, because I think we'd be happier, healthier, and a lot less expensive.
Right, right. Yeah, I think it's trying to head that way at least.
So tell us about, what are chakras? Tell me what that means and why they're important.
Well, I think I was introduced many, many years ago to this system where, a lot of meditations are you go out of your body and you become ungrounded. So with the chakra system, it's an in-body experience.
Mhm.
So there are seven. Everything has a chakra system. Everything is almost like a spine,
Mhm.
like a cell has a formation. It's the same system. Each chakra has a meaning and a purpose, and they call them psychic centers in the middle of the body, inside the spine. And it's a Hindu perspective of the wheel, the wheel. So it's a circular thing in 3D. So you're looking at it from either down or in the front of you. First chakra's at the base of the spine. It's survival. Second is about creativity, which is pubic bone to belly button. So you want to always try to have that creative center open so there's freedom. Third is the empowerment, belly button to diaphragm, is about the self, the authentic self, not the ego self. Then there's the heart is love, which is at the chest, including the arms and hands, self-love, community love. This is response, fifth. Six is clairvoyance and intuition. And then seventh is connection to soul or source. So all this information that we perceive and what we get and we navigate through, all information passes through these centers every hour and a half. So if there is information that that is emotional, was kind of breaks your heart, or let's put it this way, affects your ego. Like someone said something kind of nasty to you, so your third chakra sort of collapses. It sort of collapses. So when you study, meditate, then you scan your body. Oh, the third chakra sort of shut down. So I need to release that thought or that impression that person has on me so that I can get back to myself.
Wow. So let me give you an example of somebody who can be very, very negative, right? And it's somebody that you love, that you hold dear, but they're negative and they have negative energy. They just seem to be angry all the time. And if you talk to them or you say something and they don't want to be doing the activity that they're doing, but they're having to do it, so then they lash out at you and they get angry. How do you push that negative energy away or try to help them have more positive energy? Is it possible?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think especially during these times, so much information is coming at us so quickly. And we are being asked to clear a lot of old energy.
Yes.
We are demanding of us to do that. The more we hold on to karma, old stuff, the harder it is for us to function because we're not dealing with what's happening inside. So that anger comes out because they don't know what to do. So they lash out at somebody else because they're not dealing with their own stuff. That's number one. Number two, that's just maybe how they navigate through life. And we've all had those people where we try and it drags us down and drags us down. So it's not yours, it's theirs.
Right. I'm very well aware of that. But if you have customers or employees or business partners, like I found we were doing some work on Saturday and I was around this person that's so angry. And it was doing incredibly disharmonious, if that's a word, things to my body. And I'm wondering if that's why I have this massive like ear infection. Like I swallow and it's just painful and it goes down to about my shoulder and then I'm okay. And so I'm like, whoa, because Saturday was pretty traumatic to have to be around this person and that energy. And so it was very interesting because I said, wow, why are you so angry? And then they got even more angry. And so it's like, oh my gosh. And it's hard. It's hard to be around that.
Yeah.
So what is your advice?
Well, when I look at it, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So communication, we have, if you're an empath, if you're any kind of empathic energy, which you probably are very much that way, we look at that energy as, okay, is that mine to fix? Because my body's starting to react. Then that energy is corded to you. So it's cording to that other energy. So there's always an agreement of those things when that happens. When I suggest clearing and do a meditation, or if you have a session with me, I would actually help you clear the cords.
Okay.
So that person, you're not responsible for that person. That person is responsible for themselves. So when you send their energy back, you send it to their guides or their higher self. Because if you send it back to them, you're going to expect a response.
Clarify that.
When there's a cord, and if we don't really release the energy, and we have expectations of what it should be, this is the subconscious now. I'm not saying you do this, but I'm pretty sure this is the subconscious that kind of, well, I want to know, I want to expect this and I want to expect that so that I can be released. And there's no judgment. When you release the energy, you release the energy so that you are free to go about your own business and not have that attachment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. But how long does that take?
Well, it's interesting. I'm always discovering new techniques.
Right.
And I do this a lot in the middle of the night. A couple months ago, I discovered this new technique of clearing karma,
Okay.
which is really evident at this time. And I just finished a thing on a couple Sundays ago, and I'm offering a discount on it, but I swear it's efficient, it's fast, you can repeat it, you can take it in your own life and do it. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy. And especially now, we're just infiltrated with so much. And the important thing to remember is to keep clearing so that you can be present to your own energy, because that's what matters. If we keep pulling other people's energy in, we can't find our own.
Yeah, and it stifles it. It's kind of like,
yeah, it does.
Like grass
really
outside. The bad weeds are taking over the good grass, you know, even if with fertilizer. And so you put the fertilizer, and it's very interesting because I'm a very visual person like that. And you have to think of it is like, are you letting the weeds in? And the weeds could be the bad energy from other people. It could be whatever that is that you have no control over. I was having a conversation with my son yesterday that I'm not going to get into, but my advice to him was, why are you responding? And he said, well, what do you mean, Mom? And I go, why are you letting that person take so much time and energy from you when there's nothing you can do to control them? Why do you continue to provoke by responding? Ignore it. They're not getting anything back. Eventually they'll go away. And he's not the type that can do that right now. And until he learns how to do that, it's just, it's very hard. And he's not the one I was referring to earlier. But, because I don't want you to think that of my son. But it is interesting how sometimes we let people, because of our past and because of whatever we've experienced, that we let people have so much control over our emotions, ourselves, our energy, when in reality, that's all you can control is yourself. So how can we learn to do this, or can you do it by yourself, or do you have to have somebody else help you?
Well, I think initially, because I've had so many years of experience doing this myself as a human, getting stuck with very narcissistic people, and I've had a lot of training. So it's a hello. I mean, it's a hello for me. So I know this pretty well. Anyway, I think we have to experience life. And we have to have these things that happen in order to understand what it is we need to clear. I mean, that is evident, and everybody has that. You can't not have it. And the biggest thing is to understand that, this may be short. It may be a portion of time that you have to deal with this, and maybe it's karma. But I mean, I do one-on-ones. I've got a meditation on my website. Got my book. It's a matter of processing, and we all want it fast and quick, and I understand that. But the most important thing is that you ask yourself the right questions, like staying grounded and present in your own energy, because this is what I do. You have to stay grounded in order to understand the energies around you. You have to stay in your energy to observe. You become the observer and understand how to do self-inquiry. That is huge. And that's a discipline, but it's like this, just like you told your son that wonderful advice. You take that advice and you put it in your life. I mean, it was brilliant. So it's the same thing. It's like we have to understand that we sometimes need the help, and that it's okay. And in life, these situations that come up sometimes just seem so big and so large that we can't find our way out. But there is a way out. Number one, there is no guilt or shame about where you are or what you're doing. That's the worst thing that we can do. So that other person has no acknowledgement of what they're doing. You don't know what's going on in their life. Right. It could be just whatever, but they are not dealing with it. They're just, just throwing it out there unconsciously. They're doing that. So sometimes you just have to let them go and let them have what they need to do by themselves, because sometimes we just can't help people.
Right. Especially if they don't want to be helped, I think. And And that's
Oh, yeah.
if you've got the bad customers. There's some customers that you're never going to be able to please, no matter how much you try. And the more they're used to it, you walk all over, they just love to just create chaos because they get what they want. And there's some people like that, and there's nothing that you can do. At those times, you just have to say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. It's not worth it. And here's my boundary. But for the others, like, what's your advice to somebody who is just really feeling like they just don't have energy anymore, and they get up every day, they keep fighting to just make it through the day, and they do all the little tasks that they're supposed to be doing, but they're not progressing. Like, they're not, I want to be making this much money at this point, but yet they're not getting to that point because they don't have that plan. They're just stuck, and they're just trying to get through the day because they're kids that they have to make sure they get off to school, and then homework, and then cleaning the house, and then cooking, and then, oh, we have this whole business over here. Because that's what I talk to a lot. I was actually just, as I was driving home, talking with a lady who's just doesn't know what to do. She's in a bad place in her life, and what do I do, and how do I get out of it? So what's your advice to those people that it's like this hamster wheel? Nothing ever changes. They're just on their hamster wheel.
The first thing is to look at the hamster wheel, to actually look at it and observe the pace in which you are in it. Are you running quickly? Are you running the same? What is it that will diminish the running? What is it that will lessen? If you look at the image of the wheel, right? And then you stop it moving, and you put in that circle, you put a subject in the center of that circle, which means possibly the way you were loophole, the thinking that you're having, the thought that it's never going to end, that I can't get out, that's what I do to help you clear that. So in other words, doom, maybe attached to doom, and it's just a time period where it's just like, okay, I gotta get out of here. But if I start unleashing and get out of the box and understand that at my own pace, I will observe the wheel. And if I want to change the wheel, then I have to address me.
That's good.
Yeah, I have to address me and forgive. Don't blame. Don't shame. Be in neutrality in order to make a shift. Yeah.
So you talk about karma, and I've always heard karma is the word that if you give it out, it's going to come back to you. And so bad juju or not. So what is karma when you use the word karma? What does it mean?
Well, I think karma is a lesson. We all have our lessons. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Okay. Karma is our lessons, or our lessons. So if we didn't finish the karma with a relationship the life before, then we're going to repeat it in the next. So what this time period is, because the veil is really thin, we are moving really fast into this new energy. So that's why all this stuff is coming up for a reason. I mean, this is not wrong. You know, everybody's going through it. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Stuff is going to come up because it has to, in order for us to move into this new direction of positive, peaceful, loving world. I think that, for instance, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of what I did this morning. Okay. So this is how fast I'm learning how to clear the karma. So I've had this sort of cough, and I'm tired, and my body's saying, okay, I got to slow down. Something's up. But I kept thinking, what is up? My emotions are weird. I'm kind of angry, and I don't think it's mine. I think it's something else, or I'm attaching to the media, or whatever it is. I feel it in my body, and I don't understand it. So I'm standing in the bathroom, and it came to me and said, oh, it's anger that you have to clear karma with. And that anger could come from many lifetimes, many, many, many lifetimes. So remember, everything is energy. So I asked the question, okay, let's put the anger and my attachment to it in the center of the circle. And then I said, okay, well, how many discs? So I have these discs outside the circle. How many do I have to fill? Like moving these cords, these energies away from anger, no matter where it comes from, it doesn't matter. And they said 17, and then it went to 25. So I got a lot of stuff to clear. So I put all those discs out around the circle and placed all that anger, not analyzing any of it, just the energy of it away from to clear the circle, and the anger's in the middle. And I started shooting each one like an arrow past the edge of my aura out in the universe. So I cleared the energy to look back in the circle, and it was less, but the edge of it was still there. And I said, how many more? He said, 5. Wow. Okay. So after I did that, my body felt, wow, there's something that's left. It's something that's an association of why what I might be feeling. So I'm just very aware of that. That's just what I do. So I can read that in someone else, or you choose it yourself. And then, so that's kind of the system. Isn't that interesting? Does that make sense?
It totally does. I actually visited, and there was this guy that he talks about, he wrote the book Alignment Effect. I have it right there. That's what I was looking. And he did this weird juju stuff and asked me questions, and then he'd say stuff, and then he down my spine, up my spine, and had me breathe weirdly things. And then, okay, how do you feel? And then I would talk to him, and he goes, where are you feeling the heavy? So I'd tell him, and he's like, okay. So, and he did it so fast. It was in front of a whole bunch of people, so it was a little awkward, but it's not quite what you're doing, but it's something. And he was able to cure his wife's gluten allergy, because he talks about an allergy is just a reaction. Like your body is saying something that it doesn't like. And so you can clear it, you can fix it. And so I find that very interesting, because if you have an aversion to something, how do you not have the aversion, and how do you help? And so it's something that I love. I would love to take more time to go through it, because it's just, I love that people like you have taken the time, so you can just help us.
That's why I'm here. It's finding a way to efficiently clear.
Yeah.
And I mean efficiently by, you can check back and see if it's still there. It's almost like this.
Yeah.
You're the canvas, and then so if you clear it, oh my God, you come forward, your colors come forward, so that the image is clear of you. There isn't any muddiness or
That's great.
Yeah.
So see, when you talk about auras, do you see colors on people? Do you see, because I've talked with some people that do.
I know colors.
Okay.
So like for you, there's yellow at the top and a green just sitting right under it. And then blue is underneath the green.
Okay.
And then there's purple.
And what is that mean?
Every day is different.
Right.
Every day is different. So interesting. My suggestion for you, can I say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My suggestion for you, and this is a suggestion, this is how I work. I do not demand.
Yeah.
My suggestion and observation is that the yellow is a lovely yellow, and that's a wonderful goal to have. But if you look at the chakras, and if you look at the what the yellow represents, and the third chakra is here. So you're still dealing with that situation that happened on Saturday. So your ego is kind of like, it's getting hit. So you can say, thank you very much, I've had enough, and send it back. I need me. And even when I start saying that, now your green and purple, blue is coming forward. So just eliminating that, not eliminating, acknowledging the association of color and emotions and the probability of shifting your energy can do amazing things like that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I liken it to a little child or a puppy dog or a dog, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dog can get kicked by someone and it's going to come right back, and they just love you and they just want to be with you. And children are very resilient as well. And so it's, if you can let it go and stop dwelling on it, then you just have such a happier life. But that's where you have
Trust
to
me.
do trauma.
And it doesn't end. So this experience that we're having as humans,
Yeah.
even at this level, where I'm advanced, I would say, because I'm old, um, it still comes up.
Right.
You can't get away from it because if I don't do it, how do I expect you to do it?
Right.
I just do not understand. This is really, really, really important. There are a lot of healers out there that do not do the work. And they just think they run from their ego, and it just makes me it just makes me so angry because that's, the person is coming, that's vulnerability. And anyway, I think if you can be true for yourself, then you become the real healer. Life isn't perfect. Neither am I.
Mhm. I like that you say that because I was talking with one of my clients yesterday, and it's, as a realtor, I can walk into somebody's house and say, okay, I want you to do this, 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 this to get it staged and ready to go, or I'll hire a stager. But then you come to my house and it's like, okay, do as I say, right? And
Yeah, right.
a planner or a doctor or a psychologist, it's easy to give the advice, but you have to live the same, or it doesn't work. You're in discourse, or not discourse, but what's the word? You're not harmonious. I can't think of it.
Yeah, not right. Yeah,
So,
right.
so what advice would you give? Say that you're sitting on a park bench and your 19-year-old self comes up to you.
You say it again. Wait, say it again.
Say that you're sitting on a park bench, just enjoying
Uh-huh.
the world,
Uh-huh.
and your 19-year-old self comes up to you and you start talking with that person. And what advice would you give that person?
Well, first of all, a 19-year-old feels invincible, and I
Exactly.
don't even listen because I sure didn't.
Mhm.
I mean, I listened to what I was experiencing, and at 19, I was, pretty wild. Not wild. I just said, I'm going out. I'm going.
Mhm.
So I would say the best thing that I would say to myself or say to you.
So you're talking to your 19-year-old self. So what you
Okay.
would say to your 19-year-old self?
Okay. You're lucky to be alive.
It's true, because you did. Yeah.
I mean, I think that somehow I knew that the experiences that I had would be part of probably what this is, because I put myself in situations where I experienced so much at one time
Okay.
because I needed to learn, and I needed to learn really fast. And putting myself in situations of survival and, emotional trauma, but making fast decisions at a time, looking at life and, running 3 jobs, living on food stamps and cleaning houses. Yeah, life could be like that, looking at people living on the street. So those experiences, I would say, were so validating. It taught me how not to judge. I probably scared my children or my parents, but you have to go through those times in order to understand what kind of chi, what kind of energy do you have to survive. You have to test yourself. And some people don't need to, but some people just go right down when they know exactly what they're doing, and they know, then maybe in their 40s, they go, whoopsie, I never lived,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's, first of all, it's very profound because you're real. And that's why I asked that question, because it kind of catches you off guard. You don't really have time to think about it. But it's also, we live our life, and I believe everything happens for a reason. And so I do believe that God has directed me where I'm supposed to go if I listen. I think there's things that because I didn't listen, I'm on a different path. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Let's make it work and we'll get you where I still need you. But it's very interesting that you said that the 40-year-old gets there and says, I never lived, because there is a stage in, I believe, everybody's lives where they get curious, they get rebellious, they get whatever. And whatever your definition of rebellious is your definition. But some people are younger and they're curious and they have to experience, although they have to make the mistakes for themselves. That's how they learn.
Mhm.
Other people, they're going to learn by watching those people and saying, I don't need to do that. But there's still going to be things that you go through in your life because that's what we're here for. That's the purpose. And I think that eventually you get to the point that if you can get in tune with yourself, that you can find that energy, you can find that peace, that joy, that comfort, which is my mission on this podcast, is to help you find that. Not by what I say, but by having guests like you on and helping to prompt, maybe something, it doesn't feel right. And I do need to look into that more because we need each other, and we need to figure out through introspection, but also other people giving us feedback and giving us advice that, hey, you know what? I can see it on your face. You're not happy. So why? What can you do to change that? And you feel obligated. When we were coming back on a trip just recently, I travel a lot, and we came to a stop sign, and this girl came walking by. You could tell she's probably living on the streets. But let me tell you, she was happy. I mean, she just seemed genuine. And it was the reaction that she got. Like, I stopped real quick and she's like, hi, and she was just so sweet and so happy. And I turned to my husband and I said, it's people like that, because it's the type that their parents would probably say, don't look at him, don't talk to him, don't anything. But the smile that was on her face was so genuine. And so I just thought, she is just a sweet person that is just happy in her skin and happy in her life. And yeah, it doesn't fit that mold that most people have as what you should look like, how you should behave, what you should do with your life. But she was genuinely happy. And that's what, it doesn't matter what anybody else gets to in life. It's where are you and how can you find that peace and happiness? And that's why with you, with the energy, that clearing that stuff, because I do think we have so much baggage in our lives that if you just keep carrying it with you, it's like, okay, pretty soon you live in this ridiculously large house and you have no more room because you're out of space. And that's your body. That's your baggage that you have to let it go.
It's like, what's the character with the carrying the bag of dirty clothes or whatever it is. Charles,
is it Linus
or Charlie Brown?
Yeah. Yep. Pigpen or not Pigpen.
Linus.
I think it is Linus.
Yeah, Linus. So I often had that image.
So do I.
Just dragging that stuff, and just you can see his body and the stuff that comes off of his body and the bag, and that's all the same energy.
Right.
And what if he let go and stood back and observed it? You think he'd run? He might. So the one thing, and I say this to all my clients, really, really important. Don't apologize for where you are.
Right.
That is so important. So many times we do the should, the have to, the ought. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing the meditation right. I'm not doing this right. Can you? And it's like, wait a minute. Just be where you are right now. Don't just accept that you're going through something and then it will pass. It will move through it. But it's just, people have so much shame. I mean, because I know myself, I went through all that. Why wouldn't I share this? Because if I haven't gone through that, then I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's interesting stuff.
It is.
So you're a realtor? Is that right?
I am. Yes, I do real estate. I do lending. I'm an author. So the book, it's just out there, Flipping the Iceberg. And so we talk about trauma. We talk about different things. And so it's been a passion of mine, a journey. If you listen to the first few podcast episodes, it kind of talks about how I got to where I am today. But through a divorce and being through different things, that it's relationship, it's real estate, and it's business. Those are my three things that I can help people with, any one of those three things. But it gets down to finding your authentic self and being okay with that. Because years of my life that surrounded by, I called them the mean girls. But it was hard. It was hard to live that because you're constantly being judged by what your kids were, how they behaved, what they acted like, because it was just chaos. And I look back now that our kids are all grown, and a lot of their kids did not live the life that they wanted them to live because they've gone their own way. And watching that transition from, humble pie, I guess is what the word is, that they've had to learn that you have control of yourself, no one else. And so stop trying to judge people and just love them. So
right.
Well, Fran, it's been
Yeah.
fantastic to talk with you and to have the conversation about the importance of finding your energy. And I hope, Unbreakable Moms, that you do. If you're listening to this, take a moment today, and instead of just trying to get through the day, take that moment and figure out, look at your hamster wheel and see. I love that advice. See how fast you're running. See what needs to change so that you can have that peace, that joy, and that happiness. Go out and make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Sharice Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Sharice Walker.